everyone. This is Tony Reeves, and welcome to another edition of In the Know with Tony Reeves. We're going to rock and roll a little differently today because I want to talk to you about some interesting conversations that I've been having with some young people. And when I mean by young people, I mean college kids. There's been this running conversation that I've been having with some of my colleagues who can't seem to understand why is it that we have some young people who won't get into kind of adult organizations when they get out of college. And this is the thing that I have to remind them of, is that when you're in college, your main focus is to get out of college. I mean, you're really focusing on, whether it be going into the military, getting into graduate school, preparing for your job. That's really your main focus. So all of your energy there and all the things that you spend there, you are really dedicating your time and energy into enjoying your college experience and in getting out of college. So why is that important to know? Well, unfortunately, the reality is that because that a lot of young people are focused that way, no one really prepares them. And I'm not trying to say that there are not resources available at the college ranks to be able to do so, but think about what it was like when you were in college. If you had the opportunity to go to college and you graduated, did anybody ever sit down and prepare you for what growing up like was going to be like? Really, seriously. And I'm not trying to be funny, and I know I'm talking all hyperbole and so forth, but just think about it for a second. When you were in college, okay, did anyone actually sit down with you and prepare you for what life was going to be like when you were out? I mean, did they talk to you about what it means to network? Did they talk to you about what it means to maneuver in your career? Did they talk to you about how to recognize establishing relationships with people who could help your career advance? Did any of those things happen for you when you were in college? Now, let me just be blunt. If you were lucky enough to have that happen, respect. That's all I can say. Big ups to you, because let me be clear when I tell you this. That didn't happen to me. And most of my partners didn't happen to them either. And that's not a knock on anybody that was around us. That was just kind of the nature of the beast at the time. Because again, what did I go back to saying before? Most kids are focusing on getting out of college. They're not really focusing on all the other aspects. So no one is really preparing them for what that world is going to be like going out. And that is important to keep in mind. But then there's another point that you need to be aware of as well. A lot of people underestimate what it means to be similarly situated. And you're like, what do you mean by similarly situated? When kids, and I hate to say kids because I'm in my 50s, so that's why I refer to them. When you're in college, everybody is the same. You're all operating within the same space and sphere. I mean, stop and think about it for a second. You're all sitting here trying to go to class. You're all dealing with financial aid. You're all dealing with scholarships. You're all dealing with internships. You're all dealing with getting your syllabus. Those are the same set of circumstances for everybody. It doesn't matter what school you go to. It doesn't matter if you transfer. It doesn't matter if you interact with anybody else. None of those things change. Then all of a sudden, you graduate and you're thrust into an environment where there's a good chance you might not be similarly situated with the people around you. Think about it. When you go into your professional organizations out of college, you're going to be dealing with people who may be just like you, but there's a good chance you're going to be dealing with people who have been out in the workforce longer. They've been out in the world longer. They've got responsibilities that take them in a different direction, whether it be because they have a spouse, whether it be because they have kids, whether it be because they have properties, whether it's because they're taking care of their loved ones. These people are not going to be similarly situated to you if you're fresh out of college with none of those things underneath your belt. So as a result, your desire or your ability to engage with people or know how to engage with people is going to be a little restricted, because that goes back to my first point. Nobody really prepares you for that. So now here you're in a situation where you leave an environment where everybody is in the exact same situation to now moving into an area where not everybody is the same. And that can be stressful if you're not prepared for that stress. So that's the other thing that you need to be mindful of. And then here's probably the biggest point. When you're in college, the best thing about being similarly situated and kind of all in the same boat? You can set your own pace. Because guess what? If you need to get out in 4 years, you can get out in 4 years. If you can get out in 5 or 6, you may be okay getting out in 5 and 6. There is no pressure on you moving through the process as long as you're getting to your desired goal, which is to graduate, and whatever pace you set for yourself accordingly. But let's just be clear. Once you get out in the professional arena, it can be stressful because a lot of times you don't know what your pace is. You don't know what is that destination. When you're in college, the destination is the degree. When you're out of college, sometimes you don't know what the destination is. You don't know if getting the degree, you don't know if getting to that particular point, where it is, what it is, and how long should you expect to get there. So guess what? If you haven't been mentored, if nobody's taught you how to maneuver, if you don't really have a good understanding, you're kind of out in the world figuring it out along the way, and that final destination becomes a moving target. So yes, you may be progressing at your own pace, but that pace may be relative to not knowing what the final destination is. I say all that to say that we probably, what I mean by we, and that would include persons like me, probably need to do a better job of, moving forward and helping younger people understand what it means to move at a particular pace, to understand what it means to figure out how to maneuver when they get out into the real world, how they need to maneuver once they start interacting with individuals in a professional setting, and trying to figure out how they're going to now set forth this new norm for themselves once they're out in the world. Keep in mind, people, have patience. When you're dealing with younger people, you were young ones too. They're moving in a world that they're not used to. This is a new environment for them, and we have to be willing to help them move accordingly so they can move at a pace that's going to help them feel like they can now immerse themselves in this new normal for them now that they've gotten out of college. All right, everyone. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, you can check me out on www.anthonyreeves.com. And as always, I have to ask the final question. Are you ready for the Anthony Reeves experience?